Time now to get the latest trends in dive retailing, travel, and training with Level Up, the podcast of Scuba Diving Industry Magazine. Now, here's your host, Scuba Radio's Greg the Dive Master.
That is me. Welcome to Level Up, the podcast for Scuba Diving Magazine. I am Greg the Dive Master from Scuba Radio. Check it out every Saturday, 3 to 5. But today, we are talking to the industry folks, the leaders, the big owners, the movers and shakers of the dive industry. And the guy behind the madness of the magazine, of course, Willie Klein. Just spent some quality time with him on the Virgin Voyage cruise. Willie, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, my gosh. I'm doing great, Greg. Didn't we have fun or what?
Now, we had so much fun, yes.
Mark your calendars. We're going to do it about the same time, the very end of April, beginning of May. It's square between the New Jersey show and the Long Beach show. And we do a 4-day cruise out of Miami, and it was so much fun on Virgin Cruise Lines. The cool thing about it, and this isn't a commercial for Virgin Cruise Lines. This is simply, it was Neil actually's idea to put the story together. And the cool thing about it is that we get one full day in Bimini. And as everybody knows, Bimini is world famous for hammerheads.
Yes.
And this time of year, we had tiger sharks in. Yeah. That is like a 12, 13-foot tiger shark right there on the right side.
Yeah,
and the left side is those great hammerheads. I mean, we had 2 hammerheads swimming around for over an hour and a half, 2 tigers that hung out for almost an hour, a bunch of nurse sharks. I tell you, it is a crazy experience you can find hammerheads if you want to spend $10,000 and go to Galapagos. You can find tiger sharks. You're going to go on a liveaboard off of Tiger Beach and spend a week out bobbing around the ocean, or you just go to Bimini and it's like 15 minutes from the dock.
Right.
Crazy. So
yeah, great.
Yeah, it's a bucket list dive, no doubt about it. And it just so ends up that the dive we did while we were on the Virgin Cruise was the last official Great Hammerhead dive of the season.
Yes.
So
but today we have another very special occasion.
Yes. Which is
this is your birthday podcast.
Well, I guess close enough. Yeah, in a couple of weeks.
We have done a little. Turns out when you're drinking in a bar in a cruise ship, you learn a little bit about people.
Yeah,
we've got a special discussion, a special song that Greg has planned in honor of his roots.
A special song?
Yes. Well, the one you played earlier was great. So I'm going to bring up what most people don't know about Greg, and it's going to be in visual form.
Oh, geez. I am going to regret this.
That is Greg. Greg, what's that, circa 1980s?
Yeah, we'll go with that. But yeah, that was back from my rock days. Before I got into radio, I was a lead screamer in a heavy metal band.
Oh, my gosh. Bring it on. Let's go.
And so I was telling Willie, over a cocktail or two, I was like, yeah, I used to do this before I got into it. And I just got, kind of for my birthday and that kind of thing, I got a new guitar, and I'm showing this off right now. This is an exact replica of Brian May's guitar from Queen. Wow. Now, I can't play like Brian May, of course, but I can look like him.
Now, what other Scuba Radio hosts can do that? Podcast hosts in the dive industry?
Being that I'm the only Scuba Radio host, I'm going to go with me.
That's a good point.
But yeah, it's fun. This is what you do on your surface interval when you have too much time on your hands, right?
That's true. That's true. It was sure great time, though, man.
Yeah. And I'm going to celebrate my birthday this year with my son in the second row of the AC/DC concert in Tampa. How about that?
How about that?
Yeah. And
some
of my diving friends got me an autographed T-shirt from the band. It says, "Happy birthday, Greg." So I'm pretty pumped.
That's great.
And I'm not even diving. That's what's crazy. Usually it's diving that gets me this fired up. But, this week it's a little bonus. So there you go. So, yeah, this is my new toy. So that's enough of that. Let's turn that off.
That's great. That's great. Well, Greg, we've got a big show today. We have a great issue. Our April issue is out. If you haven't read it, please do. It's actually being read in record numbers for us, which is nice. We usually get the views we're at right now after about 3 weeks, and we've got it in 7 days. So people are really excited about it. Britain's been working hard on the ad side, and we've got some great content coming to you in this issue. I can't wait to talk about what we're doing in May. We've got some great content there. But first up, Greg, we're going to chit-chat with Britton for a minute.
Yes, we are, Britton. How you doing there, buddy?
I am doing well, Greg. How are you?
We got the scuba show coming up here at the end of the month, right after my birthday. So I'll still be buzzing from that, but I'm looking forward to it. What do you guys got planned?
Totally. So we got a lot planned. But first up, we're headed to the Scuba Show in Long Beach. That's happening May 31st to June 1st. We'll be at booth 155. So make sure you come by, say hi, pick up a magazine. And if you're not already a subscriber, we'll get you signed up. It's totally free for dive professionals.
Absolutely. Very cool.
Yeah.
So, Braden, don't we have something else going on? A couple of other things, right?
Sure.
We do. So we have two other things. Secondly, we're very, very excited about our other podcast that we're doing, Marketing Minutes. It's a brief 10-minute listen designed specifically for the dive industry. And each week we share real-world marketing strategies, business insights, and emerging trends as well, coming from dive leaders who are making pretty big waves across the industry.
Yeah. Who have we had on so far?
Yeah, so we've had guests from Aggressor Adventures, Aqua Lung, SEI, Scuba Durag, Lita's All Natural, Fog X, and Deep Blue Adventures so far. And coming up, you'll hear from Volley Resort in Fiji.
That's Monday, right?
Explorer
Yeah,
Adventures.
Monday. Right.
Yep, that's coming up
Beautiful
on Monday.
place. Yeah.
Absolutely. You can't beat Fiji. Explorer Ventures, SSI, Garmin, and Sea Experience over there in Fort Lauderdale. And if you are a dive business with insights to share, shoot me an email at britain@scubadivingindustry.com and we'll get you on the show. And if you like the show, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. So make sure you subscribe and stay ahead of the curve.
Excellent. Brenton, I hear the magazine family's growing too. What's going on there?
Yeah. Yes, sir. So lastly, I'm closing with how excited we are to announce that Carlos Lander is officially joining us as our Latin American sales representative. Carlos lives in Venezuela, so he'll be working very closely with our Spanish-speaking clients throughout that region. And you all may know him from the articles he's written for the magazine, as well as his appearances here on Level Up. And now we're so thrilled to have his expertise on the advertising sales team as well. So that's all I got. But we're very excited for what we've got coming up here.
Well, that's great stuff as always, Brenton. Thanks for sharing. All right. So
Thanks so much.
moving on to our first podcast guest or feature speaker, I think, Willie, would be Catherine. And she
is correct.
All the way from where, Catherine? Where are you at today?
I'm at home on Fayal Island in the Azores. We're about 1,000 miles out in the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Portugal.
And you sound so clear, like you're just next door. It's amazing.
I know. It's crazy, right?
It's a wonderful thing, this technology. So what do you got for us this week there, Catherine?
Well, this issue, my article is about hooks, how to stop the scroll of social media and get your potential clients to hook on whatever it is that you are offering. And I mean, a hook, how easy is that? Like if I held a guitar in front of you, Greg, and waved it back and forth, what would that do?
That would grab my attention. Like, hey, I need it.
Go.
I need it now. You know, just for the record, every guitar player in the world has at least 9 guitars. There's a little figure for it that might surprise you. And I'm right there with them, just for the record.
Well, and how many do you have?
I actually have 9. But I tell my wife, technically I have 8, which allows me to get one more. So.
Good.
Okay. All right. Well, that's your hook. That's the thing that'll stop you. If you're scrolling, chances are if you see a photograph or some mention or reference to a guitar, bam, you're there. It's going to stop you and hopefully cause you to look in a little deeper. And that's what the article that I have in this month's issue of Scuba Diving Industry Magazine is about. It's like how to create the shiny things that are not only going to hook attention, but also hold people there. And the way I want people to do this is to try and get the brain's limbic system involved. The limbic system of the brain is the place that has a lot to do with your emotions and your survival, fight or flight. And it's always trying to point you towards something good, like your feelings, something better. So the limbic system's kind of in charge there. And with your marketing message, you want to tap into the brain's limbic system so that it's going to start feeding you information like, ooh, me like shiny thing, me want shiny thing makes me feel better. And it's basic caveman stuff, but it's also complicated neurobiology. But if we do it right, we can hook into people's emotions, hold them into the place where they think they want whatever it is that we're selling, and then we convert the sale. So the way I like to describe it is we grab their hearts by the throat and we squeeze gently until we get them to do the thing we want them to do. So that's where we're going.
I
You want
like
a couple of examples?
Yeah, well, I can give one that I use when I'm out and about that you guys are very familiar with when I'm out at all the dive shows. I know they don't want to see some over 50, yeah, well, white dive guy when we're out and about in public, but we bring mermaids. So we
There you
use our
go.
mermaids as that little brain teaser thingy that gets the
There you
people's
go.
attention, but they actually are accomplished scuba divers, dive instructors, and that kind of thing. But I use them, as to kind of reel in the crowd
As a
a little
hook.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an actual physical shiny thing
Right.
because they're usually bedazzled. So
They are. They're
but
dressed up much
but in
better
your
than mine.
marketing message, you might want to use elements like curiosity or exclusivity or fear of missing out. Like curiosity would be, hey, here's one simple trick that we can teach you that's going to revolutionize the way you take an underwater photo. Bam. It's
Like it.
like, oh, you've got a trick for me you're going to show me? I'm curious. Tell me more. Or fear of missing out. Like, I didn't like the fact that I missed out on the cruise recently. And the marketing message there was, don't miss out. Well, I did. And that made me sad because I didn't want to miss out on all the fun. But as a marketer, you can harness that and cause your clients to want to go on a trip or come into the store for a special or something. Like, don't miss out, limited time offer. You better get in here, better join us. Those are the ways that you can harness fear of missing out. And then another one might be social proof. Like, all the cool kids have the guitar just like Greg has.
Mhm.
If you want to be cool like Greg, you get this guitar. Like, come talk to us today and we'll set you up.
That's a terrible example, but yeah, that's fine.
And on page 20 and 21, 22, she has, believe it or not, 38 examples of hooks. 38. It's a great article, very meaty. Read it
How
all.
about that?
What's
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
I didn't even count them up. So
I
And the-
did. I couldn't believe
the
it.
wonderful
38
thing
of them.
is 38, that's done for you. Like, if you've got 52 weeks a year, that's more than half your marketing messages right there in one issue of Scuba Diving Industry Magazine. And that's what I love about this magazine is we're giving you real world applicable information that you can take to turn your sales on fire. All you got to do is read this stuff, take the lessons that we're teaching you, and then test it out and see what works for your store.
And then, Catherine, if they want to know more and they want some help, it's hello@clearstorycoach, right? .com?
Clearstorycoach.com. Yeah.
And I'm telling you what,
hello@clearstorycoach.com.
she's a great resource. If you're listening to me and you're a business owner out there, a retailer, a manufacturer, anybody, and you want some to really spice up your marketing campaigns, reach out to her. She's got some great insight.
Oh, thanks. Well, hit me up. I'm always interested to hear what our readers are doing. So yeah, send me an email at hello@clearstorycoach.com or visit the website, and I'm right here for you.
And she's doing all the cool stuff too. Fear of missing out. I mean, I got serious FOMO from where
That's a good one.
Catherine's always coming to us from in the middle of the ocean on some fancy yacht. Yeah, Britain's the only one who got that out of the group. Isn't it? Or no, I'm trying to stay hip with today's youth. I'm hip to their jive, right, Britain? Yep. See, 2 thumbs up.
Hip to the jive. I love it. Rock on.
Yeah.
Party on.
Okay, Garth.
Mhm.
All right. Well, thank you again, Catherine. Great article. Keep them coming. I think it's a great series you're doing. It's fantastic.
Happy to. Thanks, you guys.
Yeah. Next up, Willie, who do we have?
We're going 3,000 miles away, if my math's right, to California. And we are going to chat with Gil Zeimer. He's up in the San Francisco area, San Rafael. And Gil is a professional copywriter and has done hundreds. In fact, he's working on his first book. Congratulations, Gil.
Thank you.
On his stories he's written in the diving industry over these years, and he comes from an advertising agency background. We don't talk a lot about our writers and their qualifications, but I mean, Gil's probably one of the most experienced copywriters we have in this industry, and I'm so honored that he has the interest and the time to write for us. And he's been writing an entire series. If you've been following along over the last really 4 or 5 months, right, Gil? And it's been on bluing your dive business. And it kind of came from a really old concept that was started by Lori Wilson out of Canada at the DEMA show several years ago. And the idea was right, and that we need to be more aware, and we need to support businesses that are sustainable and being sustainable with their practices. And he has done a great series, and it continues on with How to Blue Your Business Part 3, how to make more green beyond the with the beyond. Was it Beyond? What's the name of the resort? The Beyond Green
Beyond
Resort.
Green.
Beyond Green.
I'll turn it over to you.
Okay.
It's on page. It's on page 36. It's a great. He's got some really great. We got another similar follow up next month with a different set of resorts, and it's. If you're a retailer out there, this is really good information, because if you want to put your dollars into something good with your next dive group, Gil's got some good advice for you.
Thank
Take it
you.
away.
And actually, the Beyond Green series is growing so much that it might be my second book, because Willie thinks there's some legs to it. So first, a shout out to Catherine. Alicia Keys sang that song, "This Girl's on Fire." And that's you, babe.
That's great.
Anyway, eco resorts. What are eco resorts? Eco resorts are designed to reduce their environmental impact while offering an immersive, nature-focused experience. And the story was inspired by me just fortuitously being invited to a luncheon in early March through a group I'm involved with called the Bay Area Travel Writers. And a publicist from Beyond Green saw my name on the list, saw that I specialize in scuba, and she invited me to this luncheon at a resort called Cavallo Point. Has anyone ever been there? It's about a mile from the Golden Gate Bridge in Sausalito. I've been there many times for lunch, dinner, massages. It's a gorgeous, eco-friendly resort right on the bay. So I go to this lunch, and I'm thinking, I read about Beyond Green. I got, well, it's cool because they got some resorts around the world that are scuba resorts, and they have about 50 resorts in 20 countries. But walking around, talking to people, and then we sat down for lunch. There were about 10 tables and 8 travel writers at each table and 2 resort managers. And just by good fortune, I sat next to one woman who represented Francis Ford Coppola's resorts. He has a new concept called Hideaway Resorts. And I had just been to his winery a month before with my daughter and son-in-law and my wife in Napa. And so I'm talking to this woman who represents these eco resorts that Francis Ford Coppola owns. He has 3 in Belize and a few other places. And I was someone else at the table represents the Brando Resort, which was bought in French Polynesia. It was bought by Marlon Brando after he made the movie The Bounty in the mid-'80s. He fell in love with a Polynesian actress, married her, bought this island, and then his family sold it to Beyond Green. So I'm sitting with 2 of these people who I really wanted to meet, and they're right at my table. And I even told the woman from Francis Ford Coppola's resort that I used to record radio commercials in my advertising days at Zoetrope Studios, right in the shadow of the pyramid of San Francisco, by the Transamerican Pyramid. So everything was just fortuitous and luck to be at this table with them. And then it hit me that this is the basis for how to blue your business and make more green story because of these eco resorts. So I came back, I started doing research, reached out to publicists. I said, I see you have 50 resorts. Which 5 or 6 can I talk about in this article? So we went back and forth, and I wrote this 3-page article, and it shows that they're doing bioluminescence tours, they're doing shark population counts, they're working with, they're restoring turtle habitats, and what else are they doing? Guilt-free dining, they're monitoring green turtles, they're recycling all their waste, they're all solar powered. I mean, all these resorts are uber sustainable, and that's
Whole reef restoration programs. I mean, very cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. So that's what the story is all about on pages 36, 37, and 8. And then the next story I have is about eco PADI eco centers, because a friend of mine in Roatan just became one, emailed me about it, and they were the first Roatan PADI eco center. So next month, I interviewed some people from PADI about that. That's the next story. Thanks very much.
And if you're a dive shop out there, thank you, Gil. If you're a dive shop out there, you can choose wherever you want to take your group. But how about taking your next group to some place that can make a difference? And the article is really interesting because so many of these resorts do more than just support sustainable tourism. They actually have internal programs where they have high school kids and involve the local community and really educational outreach. So it's kind of neat to see. I think it was the Belize place that had the Mar Alliance, which is like a local community that does all kinds of education for the kids, right? Right, Gil?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I mean, so as a dive operator or as a travel seller, you can send your customers anywhere. Why not send them someplace that their dollars actually do some really good besides just pad the pockets of the dive masters, which is good too.
Right. And plus about 30% of divers who responded to a DEMA survey are paying between $4,000 and $20,000 a year to go to these eco resorts.
Yeah.
Or to go on a dive vacation.
Yeah, the market's there.
$500 to go to Palau. So it's in the wheelhouse of any dive shop that has a high-end clientele to cater to partner with these resorts and give them a win-win situation.
As soon as we got off the Virgin Voyage cruise with Willie and some of our dive industry friends, I headed down to the Keys for an event with iCare. It was a trash derby, 3rd annual trash derby. You'll hear all about it this week on Scuba Radio. But it was exactly that. All the booths PADI was there. There were some other environmental organizations in Florida, and all the divers were coming in to learn about ecology, clean up the reef while they dive for free. By the way, they got they gave away like over 500 spots, free spots if you agreed to go pick up some garbage, and it turned it into a great event. And and there were some people that had come in from the Northeast, from Dallas. They flew all the way down to Isla Morada in the Keys this past weekend. So it's pretty cool. So it makes you feel good about what you love to do, right?
Yeah. And Gil's going to keep writing about it because this is a very important topic to me. And I think to the industry. And,
thank you.
Anyhow.
Yes, it's good being blue sometimes. Yeah. All right, next up, what do we got there, Willie? Where are we going?
Well, we got the one and only Dan Orr from Driggs, Idaho, where he sent me a text message. I forgot to bring this up. I should have put this on our message. If I can find it real quick, I'm going to put it up on the message. How many inches of snow did you get this weekend?
4 inches of snow 2 days ago.
Wow.
Okay. I don't know if you can see that, but you probably, there you go. Well, I got the background thing. It doesn't work anyhow.
Well, I'm in Florida and glad I'm not you. Is that how we should start this, or?
Well, luckily it's all melted. It's all melted.
Good.
Oh, wow. So Dan has written an article, and I have to preface because this was originally written for a couple of other publications. So, and he's kind of updated it because we have a serious crisis going on globally, and it's on page 7. And I'm just going to turn it over to Dan, Greg, and let him talk about it because this is just probably one of the most important issues we got going in diving.
Yeah, it really is a serious problem. It's been going on for a number of years. And, when you go someplace to dive, especially if you're going someplace coastal in the United States and something happens, you would expect to go to a medical facility that could treat what you have. And when I worked at Florida State back in the late 80s, there were probably maybe a couple of dozen facilities, hospitals, and other facilities in the state of Florida that would treat a diver whether they were injured in the daytime or evening or whenever it happened to be. And there were well over 1,000 facilities around the United States that would treat injured divers 24/7. Well, now, when you look at some of the data that's in the article, the data that I got from Divers Alert Network, in 2006, that number had dwindled to 182 facilities spread out throughout the entire United States. And then by 2025, that number is now down to 64. And those are 64 facilities that'll treat divers 24/7. Now, one of the problems that divers have, when I worked at Divers Alert Network, we actually had a saying in our medical department that divers don't seek help when they have symptoms. They seek help when the symptoms won't go away. And so a lot of times when they surface, they have symptoms, they try to justify that those things are something other than decompression sickness, for example. And so finally, late that evening or the next early morning, all of a sudden they realize that symptoms won't go away. And that's when they call for help. And the problem is that a lot of these facilities, that literally there were thousands at one point in time, simply will not accept divers, even in emergency situations, 24/7. And part of it is because either the hospital is afraid of the liability of having a chamber, or they don't really understand that, or they have a problem with getting reimbursed from the government for payment for some of these treatments, or they simply don't have the staff who want to work 24/7 or want to be available 24/7. They would much prefer to use that hyperbaric facility for wound care treatment where they can schedule it from 9 to 5. And so the healthcare professionals, the doctors, the nurses only have to be available 9 to 5 rather than be on call 24/7. So it's a real serious problem. And then if, for example, you have a problem and you're in the Florida Keys and the facility that's in the Florida Keys is being used for something, maybe wound care or something else, they may end up having to fly you out of the state of Florida to somewhere in Mississippi or as far as Dallas. That means there's going to be a delay in your treatment, which could have potential ramifications, and you may have residual symptoms because of that. So it's a real critical issue. And the problem is that there's nothing really that is being done about it. The Undersea and Hyperbaric Medical Society is working with the government, trying to get them to up the reimbursement because the government really sees hyperbaric therapy as experimental medicine. They don't see it as really valid treatments. And so they're trying to do things. When I worked at Dan, we would actually go to facilities around the country and work with the local diving community and have fundraisers to fund that facility, like they do in California and Catalina. And they just had a big fundraiser this last week or so. So it's a real serious problem, and it's not getting any better.
So, Dan, I just put up on my slide that just popped up now this startling chart that shows the chambers in the United States. And you're right. When I was a dive instructor in the 80s in Fort Lauderdale, Mercy Hospital had right there in Fort Lauderdale, right on 17th Street, had a chamber, and but you're right. Now they're far and few between. It's very sad.
Yeah, back in the 80s when I was out there, just about every facility, every hospital, and some of them are not hospital-based, but every hospital that had a hyperbaric chamber was available 24/7. They realized it was an emergency situation and they would treat you, and now they don't.
Yeah, it's and there's not like there's a simple solution to this.
No, there's not. In fact, in the article, we talk about things, for example, that people should support Divers Alert Network because they're trying to up their chamber network that they have and trying to encourage these facilities to remain open and be able to available for treating divers. Plus also they keep checking on those facilities to make sure they know which ones are open, which ones are not open, which ones are available, and which are not. And then also you may want to get together with your local diving community and have them talk to the local hospital to see if they can encourage them to be available 24/7 and do things, for example, like fundraisers to help fund maybe some of that extra cost that it takes for the hospitals to have those people available 24/7.
And then the obvious issue is dive safe. I mean, if you're especially older or in a stressed environment, make sure your customers, if you're a dive shop out there, running a group to Belize or whatever, take that into account. Know that you may have some real issues with trying to get people out or trying to get them help.
And realize also that on average, there's about 1,000 cases of decompression sickness in the United States alone every year, and these folks have to be treated.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah. Well, just another reason when you're traveling also, I guess, just to kind of know what the facilities are available in the place you want to visit too. So God forbid, somebody needs it or you need it. You can kind of, plan up front a little bit for that too, I guess.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. If you're planning a group somewhere, you better have an emergency plan as a group leader. And that's just
actually,
basic.
I'll tell you a little story. When I was years ago and when I was in Ohio, back in the 70s and early 80s, we put together emergency assistance plans for every single trip that we did. Every single course that we taught, each student had to put together their own emergency assistance plan. And I told them, don't believe information you were given by somebody else. So we were actually calling back in the early 80s, Divers Alert Network, to get information about the local chamber. And finally, the president at the time, Dr. Peter Bennett, called me and said, don't do that. We're sick and tired of getting all these calls just because your people are checking on your event.
That's great.
We knew it. We actually went and visited all the chambers in our area and actually had these detailed plans out to get from the dive site to that facility.
That's so
It was
smart.
pre-internet. You had to call them. You couldn't look it up.
Yeah, you really did.
True. True. Well, good stuff as always, Dan.
Thank you.
Appreciate shedding a light on that issue. We'll have to follow up accordingly. All right, Willie, who's next? I'm gonna let you
We
steer
got Jeff
this.
Sempino from Rocky Hill, Connecticut, talking about why retailers should really invest in dive travel insurance. And Jeff is a former dive store owner and still heavily involved with retailing in the industry. And he's been writing a great series. If you're a dive shop out there and you haven't taken the time to pick it up, you gotta follow Jeff's work. And by the way, all of our magazines online, starting with the March issue, if you go to the very end of the article, it's even in the table of contents, we now index all 230 articles. So every issue we add another 10 or 12 or so, and you can look it up by author or you can look it up by subject, but all of these articles are indexed in every single issue now after they go online. So take a look at some of those past issues. They're all great. So Jeff is on page 26. So he's going to talk about why travel insurance is a win-win for a dive shop's customers.
Yeah, this kind of dovetails very nicely with some of the thoughts on dive travel that Gil put forward, and then with Dan with the emergency action plans. I think dive travel insurance is another component of that, and it is a win-win for the dive shop and the customer, specifically, because a lot of these people that go on trips with us, they're our friends. We've made friends in this industry. They're longtime customers, and sometimes things happen and they can't make a trip. And as a business, you can't really recoup the money. The flights are booked, the resort is booked. Sometimes you can get things back, but a lot of times, if a circumstance comes up, they're out the money. And that's just an awful feeling for a dive shop owner to see one of their friends out thousands of dollars because something happened. And that could be very easily rectified with travel insurance. And a lot of times people get confused because they think that their GAN accident insurance is travel insurance, and it's not. It protects you in the event of an in-water accident, not your plane fare or things like that, or a hurricane happening or anything. So we really want to make sure that dive shops who are running aggressive travel programs are really pushing their customers to invest in travel insurance. Now, the flip side on that is you will get some residuals off of that as a dive shop if you're an affiliate. And Divers Alert Network, you can be an affiliate with them and sell the products. Your customers can buy the products from Dan, and you'll get a little bit of money back. Or another organization that I reached out to and I met at DEMA was Travel Insurance Center. They're out of Nebraska, and they'll do the same thing. You can be an affiliate and provide information to your customers. The other thing that they will do is, if you are having a dive travel night, you can reach out to like Shelley Wright or from Divers Alert Network, or Brandon Eubanks from Travel Insurance Center, and they'll come to your dive travel night and talk about travel insurance and what it's all about. So, essentially, you can put your customers in two different products. There's an annual plan that covers all your trips that Divers Alert Network provides, or you can go on a per trip basis. Now, funny thing is, I always thought the older we got, the more it costs for the travel insurance, and that really, it's a little bit true, but not completely. The medical component of these plans is not as expensive as people think. It really comes down to what's the cost of the trip. How much money did you put out for that trip? And that's what drives it. It could be 10 to 15% of the cost. But the other thing that I think dive shop owners really should make sure is that the trip leader knows who has dive travel insurance. And not only before the trip, but while they're out there. We had a situation where an individual got sick on the trip that we were on and had to miss a part of the trip. And it's very important that the trip leader knows to guide that person on, get the medical reports from the facility that you're at, get any receipts that you had to expenses, and have that there. So make sure that your trip leader also knows about what the insurance, who has insurance, and what they should be doing. So it really is a win-win. As a dive shop owner, it really pained me to see somebody lose money and not have that insurance in place. It's not that expensive, and it's really worth it. And I think it is a win-win for both the dive shop and the customer. And oh, by the way, Greg, I only have 3 guitars that I really play. I got 3 other ones. So does that mean I can get 6 more or 3 more?
Absolutely. Get as many as you possibly are allowed by your spouse.
That's great.
And you don't have to be able to play. I mean, I suck. So
now I'm in that club. I have a really nice guitar, but I don't. Terrible.
Yeah, it's better to look good than to play good. I don't know, maybe. But
we used to actually have a saying at Dan about insurance: the big print giveth, the fine print taketh away.
Yeah,
so true.
That's very.
And I'll
good.
tell you, if you talk to anybody who's ever had an issue, where they relied on their travel insurance, they'll never give it up from that day forward. You know what I mean? They always get it, and
I always do.
Yeah, it can cost you a fortune.
I always do the most expensive, whatever the tie-in plan that Dan offers for, and that's in addition to my normal health insurance, because I mean, it's horribly expensive. I mean, just to even get sick in a place as simple as the Bahamas, which is 178 miles from Miami, can cost $25,000 for an air ambulance to bring you over, because you don't want to be treated locally. And most places are like that. You got to get to someplace else. So, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah.
So, Greg,
yes.
Up next, we have a surprise.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. They're from Surprise, Arizona. Yes. Dr. Shelley Hendricks, she has written a great series for us for the last, I think it's your 4th article now with us, or 5th. And they're all just so fantastic. And Shelley, tell us a little about the article you wrote on page 11, 3 strategic tips for building a stronger customer base. But you actually gave 9 examples, which are really great in a 1-page article. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Dr. Hendricks.
Oh, thank you very much. Shelley suffices, but I appreciate being here. And I love getting to go last on this session as well, because there's so many good things that all really tie nicely into the article I wrote as well. So my focus was around helping shops, any business really, to amplify, build your customer base. And so I offer three suggestions here. First of all, are you talking to your people? Are you asking them? Asking for feedback, collecting that feedback. Some of the key questions you can ask your customer base. What's working? What's not working? What would you like to see more of, less of? Those kinds of questions.
Right. Yeah.
One of my favorite questions to ask customers is if there's one thing that you'd like to see in this dive shop, or that you'd like to see us do, what would that be? And then listen. Listen to what they say. If you listen closely, they'll tell you what they're looking for. And that'll also help you when you're writing those hooks that Catherine talked about earlier. So listen for the language they're using, listen for what they're asking you for. And then also asking, who do you know that might be interested in scuba diving? Or who do you know that might be interested in going on this really cool trip that we have? It's a great way to get referrals from your customers as well. All right, so that's, what's that?
I said the power of referral, absolutely.
Yeah.
You don't get a referral unless you ask for it.
Yeah, we forget to ask. I know in my own business, I forget to ask sometimes. And so this is a reminder to me too. So number 1 is collecting feedback, right? Getting that feedback. Number 2 is, if it's not working for your business, let it go. Let go of those things, those products, those services, those trips, whatever it is in your space that isn't working for you. Every business is unique and wonderful and cool on its own.
And not every product and service will work for every product or every customer market. So, again, if you listen to your customer, they'll tell you what they're looking for. And if you have something on the shelves or in the shop or on the agenda that isn't working for your customers, let it go. Eliminate that so you can create space for the things that they are asking for. So then lastly, number three is really about trying new things, always trying new things. Greg, you talked about mermaids earlier. I love the idea of bringing in mermaids as a way to tap into a new market segment, appeal to a different audience, attract people that might be interested in mermaids, but they might also be scuba curious, if you will.
Right.
And-
Well, and plus, God forbid they don't want to see me. I learned that early on doing this radio show, Face for Radio, the whole thing. So it was a way to bridge that gap, where bring more people into the club, right?
It's so true. It's so true. We've been doing some cool things with American Water Sports Association recently and they're the people that created the first paddle sport diving, the kayak diving specialty that all of the agencies have access and may offer as well. And so what we've been doing is having conversations both with scuba shops and resorts, and especially those eco-friendly resorts that Gil talked about earlier. It's a little bit more sustainable to take a kayak or a paddleboard into certain places. I know in certain areas you don't get access by boat, but you can get there by kayak. And how cool would it be to be able to dive on the other side of that reef from a kayak or paddleboard? And so just trying new things, always exploring what else could I be doing that would be really cool. And once again, your customers will tell you what they're curious about. I'll tell you one last thing about paddling. In our research, we discovered that the paddle sport industry, so not scuba, kayak shops or businesses that offer kayaking and stand-up paddle boards, that market is 10 times the size of the scuba industry.
That's
and
big.
I'll tell you, scuba shops that are taking advantage of that crossover market are really doing well. So if you haven't checked into that in your area, I strongly encourage, check it out. Go talk to somebody who's in the paddle sports space.
Yeah, they fall off those things all the time. And, it'd be a safety thing. Hey, you better learn how to dive. You're going to die on that thing. Come on now.
That's right. Well, and the thing about paddle sport diving is you have to learn both, right? You have to learn the scuba, of course, but you also have to learn safe paddling. Right. And how do you deal with falling over? How do you deal with, navigational markers and other vessels on the water and those kinds of things. So anyway, the more to come on paddle sports, but
yes, and she's going to write an article for us on that. I'm pretty sure in the near future. And she's on page.
Pass it around it for sure.
Yeah, page 11. Just click on that QR code or link, and you can email her direct. I'm sure she'd put you in touch with the Water Sports Association.
That's true. Yeah, I'm sure of it.
Well, thank you again, Shelley. We appreciate your contributions. Fantastic.
Oh, thank you very much. You talked about Scuba Show earlier. I will say that we'll be at Scuba Show as well. Come see us there.
Oh, what's your booth number? Do you know offhand?
454, I believe.
Okay, everybody, go see her at 454. If you're a retailer out there in the West Coast, go by and talk to her about the paddle sports and her business consulting too. She does a great job at helping you with a lot of different coaching-related business aspects.
Yeah, no doubt. Anybody who's anybody in the dive industry is going to be at the Scuba Show here at the end of the month. Wouldn't you agree there, Willie?
Absolutely. We're booth 155, and we're going to be there and really proud to be a present, even though it's not a trade event at all. We want to support the industry and support dive shops that do show up there. So that's great.
We'll be there. Scuba Radio will be there to open the show, and I'll have mermaids and things like that because I can't leave home without them now.
No, yeah, exactly.
Or I'll get lectured. Yeah.
The last thing before we go here is I want to talk a few minutes about my From the Publisher article this month. We are less than 200 days to the DEMA show, and it's hard to believe that it's already on our door, and here we are just entering May. But if you are a dive company out there and you are planning to exhibit at that show, you need to be planning right now for your show. The most successful shows, according to all the research out there and personal experience of 30 years of producing a lot of space at the DEMA show, those that start in May or June have the best success when it comes to the show. You have to prepare your staff, but also prepare the marketplace to come see you, that you're going to be there. You're going to have some great specials, some great reason to show. So on page 5, take a look. There's a 5-phase approach to getting to the show. It's very super concise, super easy to follow. But reach out to Britain. We also have a cool program that we're just launching, a 6-month Tadema promotion. So we got some free stuff that we offer for advertisers that want to come in there. Dan, you're doing something this weekend, aren't you, down there in Florida?
Yeah, that's right. We're doing actually, I'm doing a seminar at the Museum of Diving History in Isla Morada. It's coming up actually on the 21st is the presentation, because that's their grand opening for their anniversary celebration.
Yes,
And
20
you're doing
years,
something else
by the
there,
way,
too.
for that event.
I'm sorry?
You're doing something else, signing?
Oh, I've been doing a book signing, for the books that I've written.
Yeah, Dan's written some great books, and he's also listed in our magazine. So go check out his incredible books that he's written. He's done a great job with it. And Greg, next month in May, we're going to get guess who's coming back?
The
Tom
Dive
Lear
God.
and Brooke Speedy. Our favorite name.
No,
our
get
favorite
out.
name
Brooke
in the-
Speedy's coming back,
Yeah,
really?
yeah,
She's been on
yeah, but-
assignment since the last
She's
time,
been on
right?
assignment. They're writing a great article. They already wrote it for us on internships. We've got Al
Okay.
Hornsby, one of the most brilliant men in our industry. As
Great
continuing his
guitar
series.
player, by the way. I bet you didn't know
I
that
did not
about
know
Al.
that.
Al's
Oh,
an
he's-
accomplished musician, way better than me. I might have some better guitars, at least this one. But,
And Dan,
but he's
if you
great.
notice that Dan doesn't have glasses on anymore,
Glasses. First time in 35 years.
Look at that.
he's wrote a story about that and how it's life changing. Thailand's enacted some new rules for diving and snorkelers. It's really interesting, and we've got an article on that. And then Alex is starting a brand new series starting next month. It kicks off with The Great Disconnect, and it's based on a lot on his books that he's written on for Reef Smart, and it's going to have a kind of a draw lesson every month from it. And he does a really good job of explaining the disconnect between sustainable diving tourism and consumers and instruction. So I think, Greg, that's about our show for today.
Yes. Well, just in the nick of time, I got to go prepare for my birthday concert with AC/DC. So,
yeah, okay, good for you. Anybody have any closing comments before we wrap this up?
One more thing. In June, thanks to Willie, I interviewed Carl from FogX, and we'll have a story about this for the innovations. It's like Dan's story about the Velo dive system, but this is a new innovation.
Oh, and I've dove with it twice now.
What
Once
is
in
it? What is
Bimini, once in
FogX? I don't-
Curacao.
It's a film that you put inside your dive mask, and you
Yeah.
don't need anti-fog spray anymore. It
Oh, it's
adheres
crazy.
inside with
Crazy.
water.
No spit. You
Yeah.
just literally put your mask in your face, jump in the water. It doesn't fog anymore. It's
No
a crazy
spit. You can't gross out
No
everybody
spit.
else on the dive boat anymore.
No
Oh,
defog, no
geez.
burning the mask, nothing.
It went out with COVID.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good point. Good point. All right. Well,
Thanks, everybody.
great
Keep those
stuff.
great articles coming. Thank you, Greg, for being a great co-producer of this show. You do a fantastic job. We all really appreciate it.
Well, no problem, Willie. It's always a pleasure hanging with the team here at Scuba Diving Industry Magazine. All right. Well, that'll do it for this week's edition, or this month's edition of the podcast. Join us next month. Till then, remember, you can check out Scuba Radio every Saturday, 3 to 5. And until then, remember, it's always better
Always
down
Wear it's wetter.
It's wetter. That's right.
There you go. There you go.
This has been Level Up, the podcast of Scuba Diving Industry Magazine. Produced by Scuba Radio and the Klein Group. For more info, go to ScubaDivingIndustry.com.